Good morning, UMSB. So this is the continuation of our lesson from yesterday. Continuations of propositions. So now we're going to discuss about the logical operators of propositions. This is under logic pa din. So let's start. Let me have this laser first. Okay. Ayan. So before I introduce to you the 5 types of logical operators, let me first show you kung ano ang truth values and truth tables because ito ay importante sa pag-interpret ng ating 5 types of logical operators. So first one, a truth table of a simple statement is either true or false. Second one, so the truth value of a compound statement depends on the truth values of its simple statements and its connectives. Ano kayang ibig sabihin yan? So I will explain later on. And the third one, a truth table is a table that shows the truth value of a compound statement for all possible truth values of its simple statements. Okay, start muna tayo dito sa first bullet. So when we say a truth table, that is a table that shows either that simple statement is true or false. So let's say mayroon tayong header na P1, so that is proposition 1. And then sa ilalim niya, it has 2 rows. So first row is true and then second row is false. I will show you that later. So for the second bullet naman, class, itong compound statement, that is meron siyang dalawang single components. And itong truth value daw niya, dumedepende doon sa dalawang single components. Let's say first single component mo ay true, and then second single component mo ay false. It depends on the context. Pwede siyang maging true or false. And itong connectives natin, class, ito yung logical connectors natin na diniscuss natin yesterday. And this one, truth table, the purpose of the truth table is to lay out all the possible truth values, either true or false, that really depends on the context nung statement na ina-analyze natin. Okay. So, for example, a proposition has 2 possible truth values. Remember, class, itong 2 possible truth values natin, that is true or false. So, hindi siya pwedeng maging true and false. Hindi siya pwedeng maging parehas. Okay, so this one, class, 2 raised to n daw is equal to number of rows where n is the number of propositions. Okay, ito, class, kung mapapansin nyo, ito ay example ng isang simple na truth table. And how many propositions do we have? Dito sa header, we have 1 proposition. Ngayon, ang sabi, ito daw yung, itong n natin, yan daw yung number of propositions. So, we have 1. Ang ilalagay natin dito is 1. 2 raised to 1, that is 2. So, therefore, you should have 2 rows. Dalawa ang rows. And then, yung sinabi ko kanina, a proposition has 2 possible truth values. So, that can be true or false. Next. So for propositions P and Q, we have the following table. So we will be using this formula, class, when constructing a truth table. Remember this one, 2 raised to n. So let's say we have 2 propositions, P and Q. So anong ipa-plug in natin sa n? That should be 2. 2 raised to 2, that is equal to how many? So that is equal to 4 rows in total. So we have 1, 2, 2 para sa first proposition, 3 and 4 para sa second proposition. Next. Okay, suppose P, Q, and R are propositions. So, meron kang tatlong propositions. Then, a truth table involving the given propositions has 2 raised to 3. Okay? 2 raised to 3, plug in nyo sa calculator, we need to construct 8 rows since we have tatlong propositions. Let's see dito sa ating truth table. Ayan. So, bilangin natin. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, we have 8 rows. Ito class, ito ay for illustration lang. So, let's say proposition 1 and proposition 2 true siya, then magiging true itong pangatlo. And then, if we have pwede ring maging false ang statement ni P and Q. And then, if we have true and then false, pwede rin maging true ang statement. Pwede rin maging false. So, same lang din dito sa susunod na rows. If we have one false, pwede siya maging true, pwede rin maging false. And if we have both false na statement, pwede siya maging true. And kahit both din yung false niya, pwede rin maging false ang statement. I hope you get the point. Okay, so for the logical operators class, these are symbols or words that connect mathematical statements and determine their truth values. So they are used to express the relationship between factual sentences and combine two statements to create a new statement. Okay. So logical operators include, we have 5 logical operators. First one is the negation, conjunction, disjunction, conditional, and biconditional. So as you can see here class, dito sa picture, itong first one, yung not. Remember yesterday doon sa logical connectors natin, we have not, if, then, if, and only if, or, and, ayan. So, itong not class, ito ay under ng negation. Ito yung symbol na gagamitin, the tilde. And then, for the conjunction, that is and. So, ano bang tawag sa ganito? Inverted na V. And this one for disjunction, or ang gagamitin na word, that is capital V. If then, under siya ng conditional. So, arrow ang gagamitin natin that points to the right. And biconditional, if and only if. Ayan yung arrow from left to right. Itong exclusive class, or X, or hindi muna siya natin isasama. Kasi hindi siya kasama sa ating objective. Okay, let's start with the first one. The negation of a proposition P is denoted by tilde P. Okay, itong tilde P, this is read as not P. And it is defined through its truth table. So, let us first see muna sa ating truth table. Let's say, using this proposition 1, 2 is an odd number. So, tama siya, diba? 2 is an odd number. So, pwede siya maging true. But then, I think it's supposed to be even. Okay, kasi even siya. Nabaliktad ko. So, let's say 2 is an even number. So, that should be true. Ngayon naman, dito sa solution, when we are going to use the negation, gagamit tayo ng tilde. Tilde proposition 1, 2 is an odd number. So, as you can see, dito sa truth table, false siya. Okay? So, let me just correct this mistake. So, for the second proposition, The dog does not need to be fed. So what do you think is the negation nitong second proposition? So that would be the dog needs to be fed. So ibabaliktarin mo lang yung statement niya. So let's say negative yung unang proposition mo, then doon sa not P mo, gagawin mo siyang positive. Okay, ito. For proposition 2, false daw siya. And then for this not P, siya ay naging true. Ayan. So that goes the same with our third proposition. So the tinikling is the most difficult dance. Dito tayo sa first row. True yan. So para sa akin true siya. So pwede rin maging false if dancer kayo. And then, kung ibabalik ta rin siya, pwede siya maging, the tinikling is not the most difficult dance. So, lalagyan nyo lang siya ng not, yung word na not, para maging tilde P or not P ang kanyang logical operator. Now, let's move on to the second logical operator, that is conjunction. The conjunction of the propositions P and Q, which is denoted by the inverted V. Okay, this is read as P and Q. Okay, remember that the inverted V is denoted by the word and it is defined through its truth table. Okay, let's say first single component natin is true, and then the second single component is true. Therefore, ang statement niya is true. So, papakita ko sa example later. Okay, let P and Q be the following propositions. First proposition natin, today is Monday. Ayan. So, pwede siya maging true, pwedeng maging false. Q natin, it is raining. It can be true or false. Ngayon naman, we need to write the following conjunction as English sentences. So, we have two. Yan. P and Q, P and not Q. So, paano kaya yan isusulat as English sentences? You can pause the video to test yourself. Okay, let's start with letter A. So, how do we read this one? First, we should start with P. What is our P? Today is Monday. And we have this, logical operator, which is the inverted V. We are going to use and. Today is Monday, and what is our Q? It is raining. So, let us see kung tama ba. Today is Monday and it is raining. So that is how you write or how you perform the logical operator. So for the second one, P inverted V, not Q. Okay? P and not Q. So paano ba siya isusulat as English sentence? Pause the video. Okay, so for letter B, we have today is Monday and it is not raining. Bakit not raining? Kasi meron siyang tilde. So, in-apply natin yung negation ng proposition. Okay, remember that class ha? Today is Monday and it is not raining. Next, for the third logical operator, we have the disjunction. The disjunction of propositions P and Q is denoted by P capital VQ, which is read as P or Q. So, it is defined through its truth table. Ayan. So, proposition P or Q, then ibig sabihin pwede maging true ang ating statement. But let's say we have a false single component sa compound statement na to or compound proposition, then pwede siya maging true. So, tatandaan niyo class, when it comes to disjunction, kapag may isang false dito, and one of the single components sa isang compound proposition, siya ay magiging true. Pero, kapag pareho na siyang false, gagawin natin siyang false. Balikan ko doon sa conjunction class. So, let's say we have true na single components. So, parehong true ang single components ni compound proposition. Then, magiging true ang statement niya. But, kung merong false sa isa sa mga single component ni compound proposition, then siya ay magiging false. Magiging false din siya kapag parehong false ang single components. So, I hope you can follow, class. Ayan, okay? Disjunction, when there is a false, magiging true agad yan automatically. So, the truth table tells us that the disjunction P or Q is false only when both disjuncts P and Q are false. Ayan, ito yung sa pinakadulong part ng ating truth table. So, to give you an example, let P, Q, and R be the following propositions. So, proposition P, we have Enrique has a date with Liza. Proposition Q, John is sleeping. Proposition R, Lance is eating. Okay, so, ayan. Meron na tayong 5. We need to express these 5 following propositions in English sentences or in symbols, as the case may be. Okay, so dito medyo makakalimutan natin ng konti ang grammar just to show the relationship of these logical operators sa single components. So, for our A, P or Q. And then B, we have Q or not R. C, P or Q or R. And then ito naman, either Enrique has a date with Liza or John is sleeping or Lance is eating. So, for the last one, same lang din sila, pero yung placement ng comma ay naiiba. So, paano kaya yan isulat as in symbols? Okay, so for letter A, you may pause the video and try all these 5 following propositions, and then let us answer. Okay, for letter A, what is our P? Enrique has a date with Liza, or John is sleeping. Ayan. So, do you think that's true, or is that correct? Ayan, correct. Because we use the logical operator or the connector, which is the or. So, second one, what is our Q? John is sleeping, or Lance is not eating. Let us see. Ayan. Either John is sleeping or Lance is not eating. Okay, bakit kaya meron ditong parenthesis? That will indicate na kailangan mo maglagay ng comma. Okay po? And then for our letter C, what is our P? Enrique has a date with Liza, or, comma, John is sleeping or Lance is eating. Tingnan natin kung tama. Ayan. So, nandito yung placement ng comma natin. Okay. I hope nakakasunod ang lahat. And then, for letter D, how would you put this in symbols? Either Enrique has a date with Liza, or John is sleeping, or Lance is eating. Okay. This is the answer. Ayan. So, open and close parenthesis, P or Q, or R. Okay, as you can see dito class, nandito yung placement ng comma. It has dalawang single components, which is P and Q. Ayan. And then, or, Lance is eating. So, for the last one, paano naman yan? So, sino lang or ano lang ang nasa loob ng parenthesis? That would be Q, Q and R. Okay. So, either Enrique has a date with Liza, or John is sleeping and Lance is eating. So, remember itong inverted V that is and, itong capital V that is or. Okay? So, next, we have the fourth logical operator that is conditional. So, the conditional of a proposition P and Q is denoted by P arrow Q, that is read as if P then Q. So, ito yung kanyang truth table. So, let's say, if P is true, then Q is true, therefore the statement is true. But if P is true and Q is false, then the statement is false. So, ganun din sa susunod na rows. If P is false, then Q is true, then the statement is true. And if parehong false itong P and Q natin, then magiging true ang kanyang truth value. Alright, so the conditional if P then Q may also be read as P implies Q. So, itong proposition P natin, that is the hypothesis, while the proposition Q is called the conclusion. Example, if, how do I say this? If the weather is cold today, then we are in the amihan season. So, do you think that's true? Let's say, malamig ang panahon ngayon, so that is true. Then, makukonclude natin na nasa amihan season tayo dahil, we are currently in the month of October. Okay? So, for you to understand this conditional logical operator, kumuha ako ng example galing sa Wow Math sa YouTube. Ayan. So, suppose that Sachi is a grade 11 student. Consider the following conditionals. Focus muna tayo sa first proposition. If Sachi is in grade 11, then she is a senior high school student. So, would you conclude na true ang truth value nitong compound proposition? That is true. Why? Because when you are grade 11, ikaw ay senior high school student. So, as we can see, true ang ating first proposition or first single component. True din yung pangalawang single component natin. So, therefore, true ang statement ni proposition 1. Ayan, nandito yung solution class. So, for the second proposition, if Sachi is in grade 11, then she is working as a lawyer. So, do you think you can work as a lawyer if you are still in grade 11? So, that would be false. True na in grade 11 si Sachi, but then it is false that she is working as a lawyer. Okay, so for the third proposition, if Sachi has a degree in computer science, then she believes in true love. Okay, so sabi dito, according to the last two rows of the truth table, P3 is true regardless of the truth value of its conclusion. So, pwedeng maging false yung first single component natin and then true. Kasi when you are grade 11 or when you are a senior high school student, even junior high, you also believe in true love. Am I right? Okay. And then, false naman, you can either not believe in true love. So, statement mo, pwede maging true. Okay? So, next. So, this is another example kung paano magsulat ng sentences or symbols using the conditional of a proposition. Okay, remember, itong right arrow, that denotes if P, then Q. Okay, so let X and Y be the following propositions. X, dioxins are found almost everywhere. Y, plastics, bleach, paper, and most commodities contain the chemical toxin. And Z, dioxins are a culprit to many diseases. Ayan, so we have 4 na propositions. Express the following in English sentences or in symbols as the case may be. So you may pause the video for you to practice it. Okay, so letter A natin, pinakamadali siya. That would be, what is our X? Ito, dioxins are found almost everywhere. Okay, if dioxins are found almost everywhere, then dioxins are a culprit to many diseases. Let's see if tama ang aking sagot. Ayan. Okay, don't forget to put a comma kapag maglalagay ng then. And then for letter B, what would that be? Okay, we have the tilde Y, so that would be not Y. Ano yung sagot dyan? Then we have if not Y, then not X, and not Z. Okay, medyo complicated ang part na to, so let us see. Let us dissect this statement. Okay, if plastics, this one, if plastics, bleach, paper, and most commodities do not contain the chemical toxin, dito kasi positive siya eh, so in-insert yung word na do not or don't contain the chemical toxin, comma, then it is not true that dioxins are found almost everywhere. And dito siya, si X, tilde X or not X. And, bakit nandyan yung and? Because we have the inverted V. And it is not true that dioxins are a culprit to many diseases. Ayan, nilagyan siya ng not true dito sa unahan. So, ito ay may kasama ng grammar. And then for our letter C, ano naman kaya ang kanyang symbols? We have Z, kasi nandito yung Z natin. If dioxins are a culprit to many diseases, comma, then they are found almost everywhere, and plastics, bleach, paper, and most commodities contain these chemicals. So don't forget to insert the parenthesis. Kasi it contains 2 single components na class. Gawa ng meron tayong conjunction na operator or the logical operator and. And then for letter D, what would that be? That is not X. If not X, then not Y or Z. Okay? So, if dioxins are not found almost everywhere, ito, not found, then it is not true that either plastics or bleach paper or plastics, bleach paper, and most commodities contain the chemical toxin, or dioxins are a culprit to many diseases. So it sounds complicated or it looks very complex, but if you manage to dissect this statement, therefore you will know how to use the symbols correctly. Okay, so last but not the least, we have the biconditional. So biconditional of a preposition P and Q is denoted by P, and then merong arrow from left to right, and then Q. So it is read as P if and only if Q. Ngayon, ang truth table naman niya, class. So if parehong true ang statement ng single components, then the whole statement would be true. And if may false, either sa dalawang to, siya ay magiging false. And if false pareho, that would be true. So the propositions may also be written as P if Q. The propositions P and Q are the components of the biconditional. Okay, so ito ay galing ulit sa Wow Math from YouTube. Suppose that Sachi is a grade 11 student. Consider the following conditionals. Ayan. If Sachi is in grade 11, then she is a senior high school student. Anong solution? Both simple components of proposition 1 are true. Hence, the biconditional is true according to the first row of the truth table. And then, if Sachi is in grade 11, then she is a working lawyer. Solution dito is, the biconditional is false as the second row of the truth table indicates. So, second. Ayan, true yung first component and then false yung second component. So, that would be false. If Sachi has a degree in computer science, then she believes in true love. The biconditional is false. So, naka-focus tayo na dapat grade 11 student si Sachi. So, false ito kasi she is a grade 11 student and ito ay true. So, nandito, sabi kasi dito, false daw ang biconditional. Alright. So, I will be showing you how to write the symbols or write the English sentences when the propositions are biconditional. Let G, H, I, and J be the following propositions. G. Only physically handicapped individuals can be called persons with disabilities. H. Psychosocially disabled persons like those with chronic illnesses can also avail PWD ID. And I. There are numerous benefits that come along with owning a PWD ID. And J. Knowledge of the wide extent of the qualifications for PWD has yet to be spread. So, express thou the following propositions in English sentences or in symbols as the case may be. So, we have 3 propositions. So, medyo mahaba-haba na class. So, since nasa panglimang logical operator na tayo, as you can see here dito sa letter A, magagamit na natin yung lahat ng logical operators from first one up to this biconditional. So, ano bang nakikita nyo dito? We have the not G. Then we have if and only if. We also have and then meron din tayong if then. Ayan, so it looks very complicated. So you may pause the video and try to write it down for you to practice it. Okay, so for letter A, let us analyze. Ayan, mahaba-haba siya. So, first one, not only, let me use a pen right now. So, not only physically handicapped individuals can be called persons with disabilities. Ayan, medyo i-cut natin dito. Ayan. Kasi ito yung anong proposition to. So, we have proposition G. And then, we have the tilde kasi meron siyang not. We have the not kasi meron siyang tilde symbol. Okay. If and only if, ito, if and only if, ito yon. That is under biconditional. What is our H? Psychosocially disabled persons. Ayan. Saan natin ikakat hanggang dito. Remember, meron ditong comma class. Kasi naandyan yung parenthesis natin. Nandiyan si not G and then si H. And then, inverted V, that is the end. Okay. So, meron tayong if dito. Tsaka then, kasi we have this conditional na logical operator. If knowledge on the wide extent of the qualifications for PWD has yet to be spread, that is the proposition J, then there are numerous benefits that come along with owning a PWD ID. So that is proposition I. Okay, I hope you get this example. So for the second one, letter B, ano na kaya? Ayan. So, only physically handicapped individuals can be called persons with disabilities. And, lagyan natin ng parenthesis. And psychosocially disabled persons like those with chronic illnesses cannot avail PWD. Not siya. Whereas, ayan, cannot. Kasi meron siyang tilde. Itong proposition H natin. And then, lagyan natin ng separator dito. If and only if siya ay under biconditional, this one. It is not true. We have the not. Ayan, not J. Not true that knowledge on the wide extent of the qualifications for PWD has yet to be spread. Okay, so for the last one, how would you write this one into symbols? So that would be J. Okay. J if and only if, not G. Knowledge of the wide extent of the qualifications for PWD has yet to be spread if and only if not only physically handicapped individuals can be called persons with disabilities. So, ito ay medyo madali-dali. Alright? So, I hope you get all the logical operators as well as how to perform them, because you are going to make or you're going to do activity 1.1 for the logical operators. Ayan. So, let me use the laser. Let A, B, C, and D be propositions. So, medyo simple lang itong statement natin para hindi masyadong mahaba ang inyong sentences or statements. Ayan. So, you have 3 statements na isusulat for activity 1.1. And then, activity 1.2, 3 statements din. Symbols naman ang isusulat nyo. Ayan. Okay, just go over sa previous slides and practice, and then you shall submit activity 1.1 and 1.2 through private message. Okay, so with that, thank you so much for listening, class. And if there are any concerns or questions, PM nyo lang ako or raise nyo ang concerns sa group chat. With that, thank you so much and have a great day ahead.